inside you.
Sorry about that. Welcome to Friday. Welcome to Free Swim Friday. Mo says I can finally catch the stream since I'm on in LA. You wasted months on a sub. Gotcha. Well, glad to have you here, buddy. Good to see everybody. It tis indeed Friday, and it means it doesn't always mean it, but for sure it means today is Free Swim Friday, which means we talk about whatever the fuck you want to talk about. I'll turn on the red phone if you want. You can obviously put yourself into the Discord and call in with whatever topics you want to talk about. We can talk about games, of course. We had the Summer Games Fest yesterday that, you know, somebody at the top of the chat, right when I turned this on, said, they said, Jaffe, I thought the show was pretty good. This is from Scott Dove. People are really pissed about the showcase, or is it just that gamers are looking for reasons to be pissy? You know, look, here's what I think it is. I think there were absolutely some wonderful games at Summer Games Fest that in isolation, when you play them, are going to be much loved. I am very excited for Alan Wake. I'm excited for Mortal Kombat. I'm excited for, I think it's Revenant 2, which I never played the first one, but that trailer looked pretty good. There was a lot of good things shown off. I think, you know, judging those in isolation, I think people who are saying there was nothing good to play are wrong, personally. But I do think that the idea of the show being kind of boring is also an accurate criticism. And I don't think that's a Keeley issue in the sense that it was a well-produced show, as it always is. The issue is just, it reminds me a little bit of when I was doing this stream a couple years back, and it was called the Jaffe stream. And it was basically every day was Free Swim, Saturday, Friday, whatever. So any topic people wanted to discuss was fair game, which was great for me because it kept my brain engaged. But for people who came to talk games, once we got into politics, they were like, what's this for? But then, you know, we would inevitably get back to games. Or if we got into UFOs and people are like, no, I like the politics, right? So I think when you have a show like all of these shows have been, the PlayStation show, Keeley show, I'm sure Xbox coming up, like, do I really want to sit through 15 minutes of Forza, not even Horizon, Forza Motorsport, which is the semi one? No, I really fucking don't. So I think because people have been conditioned with things like YouTube to go, I want to hear specifically about that topic. And I don't think this is a bad thing necessarily, that I do think attention spans have gotten less. So I think it's less about gamers being pissy just to be pissy and more about them responding to the overall package, which was, there were some really good things, but overall there was a lot of downtime because no one's going to love everything. No one's going to be a fan of every genre shown. And there were a lot of genres across the board there. That's what I think it is. You know, we'll see. But I definitely, when I went back and looked through the stream we did yesterday, there were a lot of games that I was like, I want to try that. I want to try that. I want to try that. That's what I think. Ravno says, I know why the show is meh for many folks. If you want to hear my opinion, well, type it. And if it's good, I'll share it with the class, buddy. Remnant, whatever the fuck it's called. Ricardo says it's called Remnant, not Revenant. Whatever. It's a fucking game that looked kind of like Bloodborne with guns. I liked it. Dano Genesis, fascinating. Dano says, I showed my coworker the Twisted Metal trailer and she loved it. Right? I mean, this is what, you know, this is what fascinates me about it, is that it's hard for long-term fans of the series, and certainly me as one of the key creators of the series, to extract an expectation from something called Twisted Metal. But that is very interesting that your coworker, who I guess doesn't know Twisted Metal, saw it and she was like, hey, that's awesome, I'm into it, that's pretty cool. Spasmo says, Jaffe, Bloodborne has guns. You know what I mean, bitch. You know exactly what I fucking mean. I understand that Bloodborne has projectiles, but Bloodborne does not have... Bloodborne has muskets, okay? Blood in magic, that is a projectile, but Bloodborne doesn't have like a fucking Uzi. I'm not saying this other one does too, but it felt very much like it did. It doesn't matter if you know the IP or not, says Uncle Fuzz, and that's going back to Twisted Metal. That trailer didn't make anybody want to watch it. Again, most of the stuff I've seen online has been relatively negative, but some people are excited. I mean, I'm still going to watch it. I'm excited to watch it. The guy who co-wrote Twisted 1, 2, and Black reached out to me today, and he said, did you see that trailer? And I said, yeah, and I was explaining to him kind of what I said in my video about my thoughts on it that I put up yesterday afternoon. I said, you know, it's a different tone. The team is great, though, who's making it. I do not think the trailer was a good trailer. I don't think that should have been their people's first look or second look after the teaser, but I still have faith. However, no, it was not a great trailer. It was, but he reached out to me. He didn't like it, and I'm actually going to have him on the show. I think next week we're going to do an interview, just talk about writing the Twisted Metal stories and stuff like that. Ricardo says his mom is visiting and she decided to take a look at the stream. She loved the Tolkien book back there. That book, Fellowship of the Ring, is the actual copy I read in 4th grade. And I love it for so many reasons. I love old books. I love the way they smell. I loved the memory of reading that book. And I also love the fact that back, you know, again, I was a kid of the 70s and 80s, right? And so you could walk into a bookstore and the science fiction section and the fantasy section was huge. But they were also covers that seemed to be okay being fun and exciting and commercial. Now, if you go look up the latest version of the Fellowship of the Ring, I guarantee you it's some arty-farty fucking Criterion collection of just like an old, you know, an axe lying on its side in a nondescript white void background with the shadow of the axe, you know, spilling over to make the letters for the word ring, or I don't fuck, you know, it's one of those bullshit things. It's like, come on, man. Excite me with the cover. Don't fucking bore me to fucking death. So that's another reason I love that. But Ricardo's mom has good taste. The Twisted Metal trailer says Jizzaloop looks good to him. Cool, yeah. Okay. You were hoping for a darker tone of the Twisted Metal show. A lot of people were. I get it. A lot of people were looking for that. But that's, you know, look, here's the deal. There was never any time in my existence that Sony came to me, certainly in the last, you know, 10 years, maybe even longer than that, and said, we want to really go big with Twisted Metal as a dark show and play into the Twisted Metal Black lore and all that. It was pretty much dead. And then suddenly it was like, what? You guys want to make a Twisted Metal show? And PlayStation Productions was in, and I like those guys a lot. And they pitched it, and that was what got greenlit. And it wasn't as if I could have stepped in. I was telling my friend this. I'm like, it's not like I could have stepped in and said, no, that's not Twisted Metal. This is Twisted Metal. And they would have all been like, oh, cool. Thanks, Jaffe. We didn't know. Now we'll make it that way. It was never in the cards. So, you know, it is kind of what it is. Mo, thank you, Mo, very, very much. The Mighty Mo drops a super chat, first super chat of the day. Thanks, buddy. He says, appreciate you, Jaffe. That's all. Mo, I appreciate you as well, buddy. Aren't you, the fact that you're on a submarine means you were in the military. You know, it's funny. I appreciate the military more these days than I ever did, because the military has to do all kinds of shit that they know is not on the up and up, but you do it because you don't question it, because you still have this unwavering faith, or at least a lot of you do, that you're on the side of good. Now, I don't know if you are all the time, but that's brave, that you risk your life for something Biden or Trump tells you is important. It's like, really? I don't know. I couldn't do it. I could pick up a gun and defend myself and my family, but I couldn't go to fight these people's wars, these old white men. Well, I don't care if they're black men, white women, who gives a shit? I can't fight these wars that are not clean, that I know I'm being lied to about all the motivations. I couldn't do it. I'm not going to take somebody's life over that unless you're trying to take mine. The point is, Mo, thanks for the super chat. Listen to this. Ivan says, Jaffe, do you think you had kids at the right time age? Do you wish you had waited longer before having them? I'm holding on without having any at age 32. No. I mean, the only thing I regret, and there's nothing I could have done because it has to do with when I was born, you know, is childhood today is a lot tougher than it was when I was a kid. because, and again, I'm a white guy, I'm a straight guy. Yes, I was raised Jewish, but I grew up in a kind of Jewish section of a really affluent neighborhood. So, you know, I had a pretty privileged, in terms of many aspects, childhood. But I wasn't worried about school shootings or terrorism or anything like that. You know, political divide was not a thing in the 70s and 80s that really trickled down to kids. We didn't have the constant social media bullshit that really fucks with kids' psychology. So, you know, it would have been nice to raise my kids in a time that wasn't so divisive, but being a dad for me, is the best thing I've ever done. And I don't mean that like, you know, a lot of people will sort of say things like, the day you meet your kid is the most special day of your fucking life. And I'm like, well, it's very special in retrospect, but when it happened, I was tired. My wife was tired. The kid was loud, and you're shell-shocked. But man, I'll tell you something. There's nothing better that I've ever done or enjoyed in my life than being a fucking pop to these children. It's a goddamn joy. It's a goddamn joy. So, you know, I can't recommend it to you because not everybody should be a parent. But for me, fuck, man. Fucking loved it. Loved it. Still love it. They had no grooming back then. Good times, says Jizzaloop. Well, let me explain something. That kind of, I know you're joking, but that kind of statement is really at the heart of what happened at Activision. You may have heard about this, where Activision had a skin, like a operator skin in Call of Duty. I want to show you this real quick. Nick Merckx, I guess he's like a streamer. He's like a big Call of Duty guy. And so this guy tweeted out, I'll show you what he tweeted out, right? So I guess there was like somebody's doing something about gay pride. It's like, this happened 4 blocks from my Overwatch League apartment, this guy said. Americans are in a sad space now. Let people love who they love and live your own life. Someone said that. I don't know who said it. It was MLG executive Chris Puckett. In response, this guy Nick Merckx tweeted, they should leave little children alone. That's the real issue. Okay? And it's been so fascinating to look at the Twitter of people responding to this. And they really believe, like, whatever you think of, like, the Christian right in America, they have done a really good fucking job at selling lies that enough Americans believe to keep them having political power. We have a list of Twitch streamers that should never be left unsupervised around children. He literally just said, leave the children alone. There was absolutely nothing anything except anti-grooming. Yeah, that he was associating with LGBT people. Alphabet Brigade should leave kids alone. I've been a huge supporter, but I will be uninstalling and taking my skill to Overwatch. A great game, not focused on these left-wing woke politics. Right, Ravno says, meanwhile, priests exist. It's controversial, Jizzaloop, because what it's doing is it is associating LGBT people with grooming and being pedophiles. And that is a trope that has gone back. That's over 100-year-old trope that is used to shut down and erase LGBT people. And if there was evidence of it, oh my God, sure, please provide the evidence that suggests per capita that LGBT folks are more inclined to molest children than non-LGBT folks. Certainly folks who are in religious organizations. So I think that's the issue Activision had, and I think they're right to say, what the fuck, dude? And the fact that all of these people, or there's so many people that are immediately knee-jerking and going, this is a fact that LGBT has a higher percentage chance of molesting children. I'm sorry, that's just absolute horseshit. And if you want to send me a link to your evidence, I would love it. Yes, please type it or give it to Ricardo or whatever, and he can put it for me in the Skype, and I'll bring it up. We'll look at it together. Now, can you show me a news story that suggests that there are, pedophiles that happen to also be LGBT people? Sure, I'm sure you can. Of course you can. But can you show me some sort of statistical-based evidence that says the people who tend to groom children and molest children are at large in the LGBT community? I don't think you can. And if you can, hell, that's important. But I'm almost certain that you can't, because it doesn't make any sense. It's not out there. It doesn't matter what Activision does or doesn't care about, Lux. Lux says Activision just doesn't want more controversy. Doubt they really care about LGBT. I would imagine that there are a lot of people at Activision that care about LGBT and a lot of people who don't and a lot of people that dislike LGBT. Activision's not a real person, no matter what the Supreme Court tells you. It's a company, and they, for whatever reason, feel that there's value in being public about their support at a public level of LGBT. Okay, hello, Mr. Rob. Okay. I want to tell you something else. Do you see that Sony has said that they will not be going to Gamescom? Sony has not been at Gamescom, which is in August, since 2019. And obviously the pandemic was a big part of it, but I think Sony's just kind of done, at least under Jim Ryan. I think they're just done going to even their own conventions. We haven't had a PSX since 2019, 2018. So Nintendo will be there, and I think Nintendo will be there because they're going to show off new hardware, which won't be out this year. But it will absolutely be coming soon and coming next year, and I think that's why they're showing. And I imagine Xbox will be there because they have to be. But in terms of just, getting out of the basement, assuming Sunday they don't shit the bed, which it's 50-50 chance they will. But Sony is just like, yeah, we don't need it. And they're right. I mean, they really don't fucking need it, right? I mean, none of it really matters anymore with the age of the internet. But yeah, they're not going. They won't be there. Can we talk briefly about, or not briefly, about the UFOs and whatnot? That's what I'd like to talk about for a moment. Can I send up news link? You can, but you need to send it to me or to Ricardo on the Discord or on Twitter, because I guess you can't put links here. You can tell me what to Google. Ricardo says there's always a bit of pressure for Nintendo to be at Gamescom as Germany is their European base. Sure, but I also think they're showing off new hardware because they haven't been to Gamescom since 2019 either. So they're doing great when it comes to selling their hardware without needing any of this. I mean, seriously, when you really think about it, if you were to, if you're an executive, and nobody would agree, nobody would disagree. If you're an executive and somebody comes to you and says, "Hey, do you want to spend?" It depends on the company, the size of the company, $150,000 for a teeny tiny company all the way up to over $1 million to build a booth, have the booth constructed there, fly your people out, pay for their drinks, pay for their fucking expensive dinners in the hotel, all this shit. And you will be able to get less amplification of your message than you could if you just made a video. Come on now. It's a ridiculous concept to begin with. The only reason now to have one of those shows is because there's money to be made, and there is money to be made for fan shows, but not for trade shows like that. Not where you want to, bang the drum about what you have releasing or what have you. I mean, GDC is different. That's a pure trade show. Yeah, Ricardo says Persona has to be the slowest first hours ever. I remember, I've told this story before, but I was just like, I tried because I really do trust this guy. The guy who runs Sony PlayStation America, Scott Rohde, was just like, dude, you just got to stick with it. He was telling me about Persona 3 Gold on the Vita, and he's just like, it is so good. And I'm like, I played for a few hours, and I just couldn't vibe with it. He goes, I was the same way. You just have to stick with it. And after 3 hours and hearing that fucking "You'll Love Jewels" or whatever that fucking department store is in the thing, I was pretty much fucking done. Whether you agree with Nick Merckx or not, the problem is he used his platform to say something stupid. He did this to himself. You don't put your sponsors or business partners in that situation. Sure. I mean, unless he trades in genuineness, and that's what makes him popular. And then, maybe he'll have to get some different kinds of sponsors. Persona 5 Royal is amazing. It's long, though, 120 hours, says Gaming Nating. However, I did platinum. Well, yeah. Did your Summer Game Fest stream get blocked? It should not have. It got blocked once because everybody, Man Cave, thank you for the super chat, buddy. Everybody, Man Cave, who showed the Twisted Metal trailer, NBC, Peacock, whatever, took it down. They basically blocked it. But I went in last night and I had YouTube edit it out. And so it should be up now with that little section of gameplay or trailer just snipped out that they did sort of algorithmically. So let me know. I think I have a cavity. I haven't had a cavity in decades. Let me know. It's blocked again, Ricardo says. All right, I'll Why would it be blocked again? These people. These fucking people. All right, let me see why they're telling me it's blocked now. What the this video contains content from Viacom. Keely, why don't you tell the people when you make deals with them that ultimately people are going to want to stream this shit. They're not trying to rip you off. They're not trying to fucking steal anything from you. They're not trying. They're promoting your shit, man. Get with the fucking times, these fucking lawyers. It's like, I get lawyers. I appreciate lawyers. I like lawyers. They're necessary at times. But there's a point where it's like, dude, just get with the fucking times. Let me see what they're saying about this one. This video, I don't care if it can be monetized. It says it's blocked. Why is it blocked? Let's go to YouTube and see what they've sent me. Viacom is music. Viacom's everything. Viacom has a lot of... Okay, here we go. YouTube claims Summer Game Fest. Oh my God, these people. It was Hail a Test Rester. Wait, that's not the one. Hang on, somebody else. Your video is live and the visibility remain as it was. I don't know, man. I don't know if... They haven't sent me a new one for why it's blocked. I guess we'll find out eventually. It's not even that, Ravnos. It's not so much that it's like you should be grateful because I'm giving you free advertisement. They don't fucking need free advertisement. But what they also probably don't need is the negative PR of like, what is wrong with you? Right? I mean, these companies seem so antiquated and so... just out of touch. Hello, Michael. Everything is well. But I don't know. I'll let you know if I ever find out what it is they... I'm sure eventually YouTube will send me, an email. But as of right now, I don't have any data on why they blocked it, except that it's saying it's coming from Viacom. Man Cave said it's the Spider-Man presentation. The fucking Spider-Man... What does Viacom have it to do with Spider-Man? Spider-Man is Disney, at least that version of Spider-Man, and PlayStation. What in the fuck? There is UFO talk. Again, this is what I'm saying about... Ryan Swayze says, I'm guessing there's no UFO talk. It's what I'm saying about the issue with... Summer Game Fest and things like that is the idea that it's like everybody's got to wait to exactly what they want, Oh, fuck you, Bob Bacon Magma. He says, Jaffe, Bobby Kotick did a great interview for Variety. I read it. And Variety didn't push back at all. They basically let him try to, rewrite history, and they didn't question any of it about. He's like, Activision doesn't have a systemic problem with misogyny or sexism or anything like that. This is the same guy that literally was, I think he settled in court, or out of court because he threatened to have his assistant killed. This is not a good guy. Although Michael Pachter would tell you he's very greedy, but he's a good guy. I don't fucking know. I've never met him. All right, well, I'll look into the ban a little bit. Okay, it's not the... the Twisted Metal trailer? No, they already cut that out. That already went away. Gaming Nading says it has to be old people being out of touch. More people streaming it equals more promotion. People who may not watch Summer Game Fest might watch someone covering it. I mean, there is that, but I also think... I also think that it is... It's less about... It's not so much, oh, look, this guy who had 300 people watching his stream or 5 people or 1 million people. I know they want control. They're like, we can take care of our own promotion. We don't need people to do it and have our ads marbled in with someone who's a fucking racist or something. I understand the apprehension, but it seems like they have no real interest in finding any kind of real solution to it other than just like, fuck you. Jaffe, thoughts on Vegas legalizing shrooms. Is that happening? I think it would be great. I always thought California would do it sooner, but yes, great. I had no idea. Trust me, the minute we get shrooms legalized here in California, I will be on a stream doing them. And doing them live for you on the show. I've never done them before, and I am absolutely eager to do them. And is it legalizing or decriminalizing? Criminalizing, I don't know. I have not tried Liza P. All right, let's talk about UFOs for a little bit. Then we'll talk about Trump if you want. Somebody's asking about Trump. So UFOs... It's so Mr. K, there's a bunch of stuff going on right now, right? So we know a couple of months back, or actually it was part of the COVID bill, that the Senate was like, look, we want to create this UAP organization that meets periodically in public and in private at times in order to update and educate the Congress, but also the American people at certain times about what these things in the sky are that everybody says they're seeing. And up until last night, I was fairly convinced that most of it was a psyops. And I don't say that as a conspiratorial guy. I'm not that. But it's... Hang on. Ricardo says Jaffe does not want to ask, so I'm asking. Folks, if you feel like it, please subscribe, like, and if you want to be a member, we have some cool stuff for you. I was getting to it, Ricardo. Is your mom still there? Tell you to take it, simmer down. I was getting to it. I was fucking getting to it. But, I was going to talk about how we're going to have the co-writer of the Twisted Metal movies on for an interview. That's going to be behind the scenes, behind the paywall. At least for a month. If you want to watch it live and ask questions about the lore of Black and 1 and 2, he was there with me from the very beginning. That's going to be a members-only show. God damn it, Ricardo. Your mom is so mad at you now. Listen, okay, so anyway, the UFOs, I was like, look, it doesn't make any sense that we are now suddenly, hey, we'll just tell you stuff, folks. We'll just tell you shit. It's more like we're distracting you because we have some tech that we don't want the world to know about, and we would much rather just put this smoke screen up so people don't know that we actually have drones and or manned vehicles like Tic Tacs and whatever. Okay, that's kind of what I thought. Don't get me wrong. I want to believe, and I'm not saying that as a motto from the X-Files. I want to believe, and I want to live long enough to see it, and I hope I will. But I absolutely think, unless the universe is a projection and we are living in a simulation, short of something that wild, of course there is life out there. And maybe they've visited us. I don't fucking know. But I didn't believe this because it just seemed a little too, wag the dog. If you don't know that movie, it's like they hire a producer to make a fake war in order to justify getting into a real war. It seemed like one of those kind of things. But then yesterday, or 2 or 3 days ago, there was a whistleblower who had worked at various levels of government. He was in the military. I don't know. I forget all of his details. But he had said, look, man, you had to have seen this news. And this isn't the main news I want to tell you about. This is when I'm up until last night, I was like, I don't know. Now I'm back on the fence. he says, look, the United States is in possession of 12 vehicles that are not of this earth, and we are trying to backward engineer them, and we are trying to learn to fly them. And some of them are the tic-tac shape, and some of them are the saucer shape. He said one of them is almost like a little helicopter that is a deep-sea submersible. And it's like, okay, but he didn't really have any proof. He didn't really show anything. So people were like, okay, well, get back to me with some proof. And last night on Fox, and I don't watch Fox, but somebody sent me a clip of this, although it wouldn't surprise me if Fox was in bed with the U.S. government, and the U.S. government is saying, hey, push this shit. We need the propaganda. But whatever. The journalist comes on Fox News, and he says, hey, I've interviewed 12 people that have corroborated this guy's story, the whistleblower story. I can't give you their names. I can't give you their, their genders or anything. I don't want anybody to run the risk of knowing that they've spoken off the record about top secret shit. But they are saying everything this guy is saying is absolutely accurate. And one of them went even so far and said, look, there's also, we've engaged with actual living alien creatures. And the reporter said, I didn't want to put that in my article because it's hard enough to believe what he's saying now. You throw out that one of these guys is also saying that, it's going to just sound like crazy town. So, but that's, could the government still be running that operation? Yeah, for sure. But then I also did see what people were talking about, the thing that's happening in Las Vegas, where Mr. K sent me this footage. This was crazy. It was, yeah, exactly. Surrectum. God damn it, sir. Rectum of truth says, did you see the family with the aliens in their backyard? Yeah. I mean, I didn't see the aliens, but if you don't know this story, this is what Mr. K sent me. There was a family that did a 911 call. Well, here's actually the timeline. So there were two cops in a car and their dash cam, and you can see this on video. There was a big green orb that had a tail. So it could have very well just been a falling star, but it slammed down. You saw it in their car. It slammed down. It looked like about a mile away or, half a mile away or what have you. And then almost right after, there was a 911 call, like timeline-wise, not to those cops, but to the dispatch, going, you need to send somebody over here because there are these things in our backyard. And she's like, well, what are you talking about? And the guy's like, they're not human. They're creatures. They have big mouths and big eyes, and they are 10 feet tall. And she's like, okay, whatever. So the cops did go there, and the cops were like, look, we usually wouldn't take this seriously, but we are getting reports from various people and other cops that they have seen something crash in the vicinity. And so maybe we're going to put two and two together and something's going on. But that's the only thing I know of about that story, right? So I don't know if anyone actually got footage of these. I mean, think about that. You have a fucking phone you can call 911 on, but you're not going to fucking take a picture of the aliens? Come on. That's a little weird that not one of those three people in the family had the ability to record what this was, right? So that's a little weird. That's a little weird. But, whatever. The point is, a lot of this stuff is coming down. A lot of this stuff is getting reported. We will see what happens. Joshua, thank you for the super chat, buddy. He says, my question is, how do these alien crash if there's tech gravity defying? I believe in aliens, though. None of us fucking know, right? I mean, maybe there wasn't, maybe what they recovered at Roswell was not as advanced as the Tic Tac, or people say, well, how in the world could these fucking aliens come here, across time and space, or however they got here, and they don't know how to, they accidentally crash land. I don't fucking know. I mean, I get the point. I absolutely get the point, which is like, you can create a ship that can travel faster than the speed of light, and you can get here, but you crashed it because you're not very good at landing. What? But I mean, there's a lot of ways that you could explain it away, but again, it's, who knows, Okay, so Steven Johnson said it's on the cop cam in 4K. What's on the cop cam? You can't tell me the aliens are on the cop cam, because I would have seen that. They basically said when they went into the backyard, when it sounded like the aliens or whatever they were had gone, the cops have a policy that, okay, well, that's private property. We can't release dash cam footage from private property. I don't know about that. But we'll see. We'll see. So, I think one of the witnesses said the alien by the forklift in the parking lot looked at him and he couldn't move his body, like it froze him. Okay. Tech cam malfunction. It's true. I don't know. I mean, again, I don't know. What was it? It was a Six says, well, they don't want to say aliens are real because religion would fall apart. I mean, yeah, but religion's already falling apart for the most part. And frankly, you know, I mean, you're right. They use it to control people, and it would I mean, you know, that's the thing, though. Would it really fall apart? Would religion really fall apart? And you know, it's like, if aliens existed on Jupiter or on one of the moons of Jupiter or Saturn or whatever, and they came here, there's nothing in the Bible, is there? I mean, we've already debunked the part of the Bible that says the Earth is the center of the universe, which is sort of what Galileo got his head chopped off for. And that didn't make religion fall apart. So just because if you believe in God, God created other people and other creatures on other planets, why would that make religion fall apart? Water Princess says, "What if Jesus was an alien?" I mean, sure. At least it's more of a viable, you know. Then you could say, okay, well, maybe that's how he did the miracles, because you know he's fucking from, you know, outer space, baby, so he can manipulate things with his mind and shit. Who knows? But I don't know. But what here's the question though. You know, is this just going to peter out, right? I mean, last night again, I don't watch Fox. I'm kind of turned off by Fox for the most part, but I did watch this clip somebody sent me, and the guy was saying, he's like, both the reporter and the anchor were like, look, enough is enough. We deserve to know. This is our country. This is a democracy. And it's not like the Senate or the Congress folks, the House is keeping it quiet. They're going, look, you're the military. You work for us. So we don't want this kept secret anymore. What do you know? It's a compelling argument in a democracy. But I wish I had a fast forward button. I want to see how this is going to play out. I mean, everybody does, but I'm very curious. Have I ever talked, Ravno says, in person with a Bible-thumping literalist? Yeah, my kids used to love, and I did as well. I loved it. They loved it as well. Every year at Comic-Con, there are these preachers that stand out there in front of the convention center, and they have their bullhorns and all this, and Jesus is coming. My favorite is there's always this one guy dressed as Galactus, and he's got a sign that says Galactus is coming. And if you flip the sign, it says on your back. So, you know, I mean, people fuck with them. And my kids would go out there and yell at these fuckers and debate them and stuff. But no, I mean, you know, whether they believe this shit or not, I couldn't tell you. But their characters that they play on the soapbox that they stand on in front of the convention center is absolutely, they believe it. That character believes it. Would I wrestle a hot alien? Sure. Why not? The other wild part is the crash spot was described as blurry, where their craft's camouflage tech was flickering out or damaged. Then later, black unmarked vehicles came to deal with it. Where is that, Radical Desi? What are you talking about? Like, where is this the thing that happened in Vegas? Or because somebody was saying something recently happened in Florida. I didn't read the actual whistleblower piece on the UFO guy, Jake. I read the highlights of it. Somebody was reporting on it. But no, I did not actually read the real report. Why? Was it super compelling? I mean, what he said, I've seen him be interviewed and say, hey man, this is, you want me to show this, Ricardo? The 911 thing? I'll pull this up. This is the footage from the news. I don't know if they're going to show you the media war in this one. I'll show that to you in a second. Honestly, if aliens visit, we're screwed for the sole reason as anyone would fire on sight. Could be. Absolutely could be. Sure, it's a YouTube local video. Okay, yeah. What, really? It's a YouTube local video report in Vegas. Okay, let me see what you're talking about. Because this is what Ricardo sent me. Yeah, it seems like an effective way to bloat the Pentagon's budget, says Vitaphone. Yeah, could be. I mean, that's the thing. The problem with this topic, or any topic really with the government, is that it's very easy to believe that these things are, they could go either way. They could go 50 different ways. Is it a psyops? Is it real? Is it what the government's using to raise money? Are they distracting us from what is happening in Ukraine? Who the fuck knows? All right, this is what Ricardo sent me. I'm not sure if this is the one, but we'll play it anyway. I don't want to. It's X-Files music. Ha ha ha. I want to believe. Blah blah blah. We get it.
Family in Las Vegas insisting something is out there after allegedly having a close encounter of the third kind.
I swear to God, this is not a joke.
One witness calling 911 after they say an object fell out of the sky and landed in their backyard.
They're like 9 foot, 10 foot tall. They look like aliens to us. Big eyes. They have big eyes.
The mysterious object that fell from the sky, even the officers apparently
right, see that
saw
right
that.
there?
The
see
green
that?
glow of the alleged UFO is seen on this newly released body camera footage.
I have butterflies, bro. Everyone saw a
Right, so these are the
People
cops.
say there's aliens in their backyard.
So when that 911 call came in, less than an hour later, police were ready to believe it.
It was like a big creature.
A big creature?
None of them have phones.
Because I'm not going to BS you guys. One of my partners said they saw something fall out of the sky too, so that's why I'm kind of curious. Did you see anything land in your backyard? Or?
But after a brief investigation of the yard, officers closed the case as unfounded.
If those 9 foot beings come back, don't call us, all right? Deal with it yourself. I ain't dealing with that.
According to former intelligence officer David Grush, an alien crash landing isn't too far-fetched. Grush recently turned over documents to Congress claiming the U.S. government has a vast collection of vehicles that have non-human origin. Andrew Dimbert, ABC News, New York.
All right, so I mean, there you go. But you know, the real news isn't that. The real news is that David Grush guy saying, hey, they have this shit. I wonder if I can find the Fox News report where they were talking about the aliens, because that was interesting that he let me show you this. One thing to note is these people own some very expensive equipment. They seem to be well-to-do folks who have no freaking idea what to make of something they clearly saw. I get it, you guys. I mean, I think here, you know, the one thing I do take issue with, and this has to do with religion, this has to do with aliens or whatever, is there, and I'm speaking to certain people in the chat, you must know who you are. There seems to be a cloak of nobility that some people like to wear where they debunk everything. Whether it's religion or UFOs or anything that's not, what if I can't see it, it's not real. And I think what's unfortunate about that type of person is you know, they are given a bit of a head start because they come at it and go, well, it's not science, it's bullshit, it's propaganda, they're skeptical, blah blah blah. And I get it, and I think being skeptical, and I think being, you know, demanding that the scientific method be used on things that we're trying to absolutely prove is crucial and important, and it's ridiculous that people just believe shit because it's fun to believe or they want to believe it. You can't ignore the bias that causes people to believe shit that they shouldn't believe. But yeah, Unruly says dogmatic is the right term. Dogmatism comes in all guises. Yeah, I mean that's sort of it's not what they're saying. Ravno says, how dare people not believe everything people say? No one is saying that. And Jake Z says, like, you debunk religion? Well, I don't debunk the fact. That's why I never say I'm atheist. I say I'm agnostic. I don't know if this world was created by a conscious creator or not. But I absolutely know, or I absolutely feel that no one has ever shown any evidence that really would make anyone believe that the stories in the Bible, the Quran, the Torah, the Talmud, whatever, are literal, right? So that's kind of what I'm talking about. Why doesn't Jaffe show any of the videos? I just showed one, the dude. I just showed one. Let's take a look at this one. This is 100% they're not human, witness details alien. So this may have been what the other person is talking about. But again, where's the fucking, show me a video.
Fireball streaked through the heavens. A police officer working in the Northwest Valley caught a glimpse of the colorful object on his body cam. At nearly the same time, a Ring camera in the area recorded a strange noise and what sounds like a crash. One family living in a ranch-style home had a much closer view of the object. Two brothers and their father were working on a vehicle in their yard when they caught a glimpse of a sparkly object as it came crashing down, then were hit by what they describe as a shock wave. One of the witnesses, a young man named Angel, has stated when the brothers looked into the yard where the object landed, that spot was obscured and blurry, as if by unknown form of camouflage. What they saw next prompted a frantic call to 911.
So there's two people or two subjects that are in your backyard?
Correct, and they're very large. They're like 8 foot, 9 feet, 10 foot. I don't know. They look like aliens to us. Big eyes. They have big eyes, like I can't explain it. And big mouth. They're shiny eyes, and they're not human. They're 100% they're not human.
8 News Now investigators have spoken with family members multiple times in the past 4 weeks, but each of the 3 times we accepted their invitation to do an interview, they didn't answer the door or their phone. These are some of the claims they've made in other public forums. Multiple family members backed up the story in an initial police report we obtained. Angel says they heard the patter of multiple feet in the yard. They later heard footsteps on their roof. They saw one of the 8-foot-tall creatures climb behind the controls of a large front loader stored in the yard as if trying to engage it. He got a good look at one of the creatures, he said, a greenish-grayish being with large eyes and long legs. He says he could hear its deep breaths, and when he locked eyes, he was, in essence, frozen in place, couldn't move. In the middle of the yard, where the object had crashed, then vanished, a circular impression was left in the soil.
Okay, where is this on your property?
Metro sources say the police dispatcher initially wondered whether to send a crisis intervention team to help the troubled witness, but then took the incident seriously. 2 officers arrived 38 minutes after the call, and by then had heard from other officers. They proceeded cautiously and managed some nervous laughs.
I ain't dealing with that.
A few days later, the family says 2 Metro sergeants returned to the scene to ask follow-up questions. The family says they also saw men in suits and sunglasses driving in a car with government plates cruising slowly past the house in the following days. Nellis and Creech have denied any interest or involvement with the incident. Metro has indicated they believe the family that something crashed in their yard. But what?
Someone else has access to it.
You know, you mentioned, George, in that piece that, they were frozen because so many people have been critical of, like, why didn't they get their phone out? Why didn't they shoot the video? Do we know if there's even any video of this incident?
Yes and no. So there's a surveillance camera in the backyard. The property owner keeps that because he's got a lot of expensive equipment there. What we were told is that at the moment this thing comes down and crashed, this camera went out, and it was out for a couple of minutes when
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Again, I'm much more interested I'm much more interested in the whistleblower and then the follow-up reporting of the whistleblower that had the whistleblower's facts corroborated by 12 people. That's compelling, even if it's compelling in the direction of a psyops situation. But this is stupid. No offense. I mean, it's stupid. It looks like there's nothing. Let's put it this way: if someone didn't have the 911 call and they just showed the dash cam, it would be, people would go as a meteor. And then they refuse to be interviewed. I mean, I don't know, but I don't buy any of this shit. This doesn't sound, it looks like meteors, right? Now, the one thing about the meteor, though, here's what I will say, is that the meteor not clearly, that's not true, but it seems like the meteor probably impacted because we heard the explosion. Now, it could have exploded over the sky, but if you do look at that meteor shot, where is it? It's close to the ground, and it still has, usually if you've seen a meteor break up, it breaks up much higher, and it goes into like super trails, like 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 trails going off in different directions. This is pretty, this object is pretty solid, close to the ground, and then we hear the crash. So you'd think there'd be something on the ground. But whatever. I don't buy this story, but I am very fascinated by the other story. I guess the real question, here's a question. What do you think? What do you think? Oh, by the way, I want to say thank you so much to Radical Desi. He sent us that video. Film it and risk making it angry, says Ricardo. Hell no. Fuck it. Welcome to Earth. It comes to our fucking planet, and, if it's going to get angry, it's going to kill us anyway. But, I wonder, though. So let's just say it happens. My brother's theory is that this is them softening us up, like the media, the governments, the world, softening us up so that when it does basically come true and it's revealed somehow, we are not going to lose our fucking minds. Okay, so let's say that happens. Let's say in a year from now they arrive. We have undeniable proof. Would it actually change your day to day? I mean, I'm not even fucking with you guys. Last night, when I saw the Donald Trump indictments, and if you've seen them today where they opened the indictments, I mean, this is some serious shit. Whether you think the man's being set up or you think it's genuine is irrelevant. This is not like he lied about who came into the White House. I mean, it's some serious allegations, right? And I'm watching that, and I'm going, okay, this is unprecedented. I'm watching the alien stuff, and I'm going, this is unprecedented. And I'm just kind of like going, maybe we are. Yeah, exactly. Luck says life would be so much more exciting. Maybe we are living in a simulation. Maybe we are characters that have no free will, but this has been written, because you couldn't write a day like yesterday. It's like, hey, here's something good. Let's get the president arrested, and that'll start a civil war. And right before the civil war breaks out in America, let's reveal the aliens. It's kind of crazy, the level of stuff that we're just getting used to. I mean, when I was a kid in the 70s, like Watergate was like, oh my God, and now you've got a president who literally left office with confidential information that he did not keep safe, that he thought were his to take, and literally were things like plans to attack the Pentagon. Like, here's the way you could do it. And people are still going, no, it's fine, leave him alone. I'm like, what it takes to get people riled up these days. I mean, we have gone so beyond Watergate. I don't even know. What would it take if aliens came? Do you think people would just kind of be like, okay, that's good. I mean, I don't know. I don't think I would change much. I mean, because ultimately, ask yourself this: after the initial new car smell of aliens goes away, what are you left with? You're basically left with, it's just another country you haven't been to. Like, let's say there are aliens living inside the planet Mars. They've colonized it and they've made it livable because their atmosphere got fucked up and they all went inward, okay? Okay, well, I'd want to go see it. I'd want to learn their history and all that, but ultimately, isn't it just kind of like another place on Earth? that's not on Earth. It's just another group of people or another group of things. I mean, we have some of the creepiest fucking shit in the world living under the goddamn ocean. And nobody is like, right? I mean, we should be able to talk to octopuses, pies, whatever the fuck they're called. We should. Mr. K finally watched the video. Yeah, I watched it. We watched it, and we also just watched it live here. I don't believe it. I think that's horseshit. I believe in aliens, absolutely. Why would religious people, Attica says religious people would go nuts. Why would religious people go nuts? By the way, if you're getting ads and you're a paid member, you should not be getting ads. That's bullshit. I'll look into that. I'm sorry about that. Sean T says, we as humans need to feel like there is a purpose or reason for our existence. That's why the conspiracies exist. Again, I don't know if you guys have seen it. You have to be a Patreon member right now. But I was talking to Colin Moriarty about 2 days ago on his show, his most recent one. And this idea of, we need to have a sense of a reason why we exist and what motivates us and all of these things. I don't know where I was going with that. I should not look at the chat because that was distracting me. Sorry about that, fellas. I'll get back to that if I remember the Colin part. Mr. K says the thing falling out of the sky was clearly real. Sure. But it would look like a meteor to me. Being a paid member on YouTube, says Spaz, never gets rid of ads, only being YouTube Premium. Okay, I gotcha. Religious people have built up an idea of human exceptionalism, and they believe a single being created everything. But how are we still, like, I understand if you're living in, like, the 1700s or the 1820s, and Joseph Smith runs in and says, look, I done found these tablets. Oh, but I lost them. But don't worry, I wrote down what they said. Believe me. But it's 2023. How the fuck these people still... And again, I'm not trying to debunk religion. I'm trying to say, isn't there a point where you just kind of go, okay, look, you don't know what's happening. You don't know what's going on. And so let's just have some self-awareness of that. Let's just be comfortable with going, we don't know. We don't know what's happening. Let's be okay with that and move forward with that comfort, which will eventually become comfortable that we don't know. What if the aliens have a religion? What say you? Says Water Princess. Yeah, that would be interesting. I'd love to know more. Maybe here's what I would say. Do you have any evidence to back this up? And if they did, I'd say, oh, well, fuck. I'm in. I'll be in your religion. But if they don't, then it's just, same shit we got. Exo says these people are not sane, Jaffe. You can't reason with insanity. I know, but you can deprogram people from their brainwashing sometimes. Is what you can do. Yeah, it's interesting. Unruly Cat says it would be funny if they have the same religions. We're screwed then. Well, the best clip I ever saw, and you guys, it's gone viral so many times that I'm probably not educating anybody on this, but let's talk about it anyway briefly. It was Ricky Gervais on Stephen Colbert, and he said, if I went back in time, or if I destroyed all the books on Earth and all the information on Earth today, eventually we would once again write books about science proving what gravity is and how it works and this and that and the other. But we would not reconstruct the same religions that we had when those books were initially destroyed. Because one thing is provable and the other thing is made up. And I think that's true. I understand humans, the need for it. I get it. Always Mad Gaming says aliens will probe everyone that has seen them. I mean, they've been claiming that forever. I don't know if you guys ever saw the movie Communion about Whitney Strieber, the guy who was played in the movie by what's that guy's name? Christopher Walken. I always thought it was a very fucking scary movie. It was a very creepy movie. And he had claimed he was the most famous person I knew of back in the day that was like, hey, I was abducted and probed and all that shit. Sean says every culture around the world has some spiritual aspect to them. It's just human nature. Right, but human nature is also about evolving and gaining self-awareness and going, oh, I do this thing. Let me get better. Having some cognitive therapy or cognitive abilities to sort of have a self-awareness. To say, I understand my knee-jerk lizard brain is to believe in something religious. I get it. But I also know that that's my lizard brain and I have to sort of evolve beyond that. And I'm not entirely sure why not enough people do that. To Your Scattered Bodies Go is a great book by, I think he's a Spanish author. Describes something similar to a reoccurring dream I've had since I was a child. It was like waking up outside the Matrix. If I remember this correctly, the book opens with a guy floating in a white void, and he's surrounded by other totally naked bodies floating in a white void. And these are people who have just died. And I think they end up going down to some planet. It's very strange. But I mean, you know, I mean, here's what I will tell you. If we think about this, if we just, maybe it's like the prime directive. If we discovered aliens or they discovered us and we learned that there was an afterlife, right? The suicide rate would be huge in this country, in this world, right? I mean, maybe that's why they're like, look, if we show them and they learn about us and they know there's an afterlife, or they know this is a simulation, we're violating the prime directive. They're gonna off themselves in huge numbers, and they're not wrong, because if you know it's all a game. What do you do when you're playing a video game and you get bored or you get stuck or you come to a point where you just can't, you get bored of it or it's frustrating? You put in a different game or you turn it off and go do something else. I mean, the minute you know that, there was a Robert Redford movie, Zandatsu, about that. It was fucking excellent. It was fucking excellent. You stop playing when you it's exactly what would happen. So, you know, and I've often thought maybe evolution-wise, we know what happens when we die, but we've allowed ourselves to evolve to a point where we've denied ourselves that data because the human race wouldn't have continued. I did see District 9. I didn't love it as much as everybody else. Yes, anything goes, WB, whatever you want to talk about. I did hear about the dam in Ukraine. The problem with the Ukraine thing, and by the way, people who watched me on Colin the other day, I think Mr. K was like, well, why do you have part of the conversation cut? And honestly, it's because we went down a rabbit hole of talking about Ukraine and Russia and the dam that no one really knows unless they've released new information, who blew it up and why they blew it up, right? And it was just like, it didn't really have a place in that particular conversation. It wasn't that there was anything secretive or anything. Yeah, Ricardo's got a great point. He says, hey, listen, if you have any cool UFO or weird shit that's happened to you, put yourself in the Discord, or I'll put the phone number up, as long as it doesn't get annoying to people. The red phone will now be on, and you guys give me a shout, and I'll put in some videos too if you want. I mean, it's anything goes, man. But it's got to be, I don't want to get, dinged for it. I already lost yesterday's video that I thought we'd gotten back. The number is 619-752-0548. I believe that's what it says. I have seen the movie Nope. I enjoyed it a lot. Do I support Ukraine? I do. But I struggle with knowing what's real anymore, because the idea, I mean, here's what's absurd. Do I think Putin's probably a really bad guy? Yeah. Just like I know for sure, Kim Jong-un is a bad guy. But short of North Korea, in my opinion, there are very few black and white wars anymore. And there probably never were. there probably never were, and it's impossible now. So when you say, "Oh, I support Ukraine," and that certainly is the story that Americans have been fed and told to support. It makes sense to me, but I've heard a lot of people say, "Oh no, you've got it wrong. Russia's the good guys here. They're not telling you the real story." Blah blah blah, and I'm like, so again, it's kind of like religion. You anybody out there, unless you literally work for some corporation or a government agency or whatever, you don't know either. It's just that the news that you happen to have hoovered up into your brain pan has pushed you this way or that way. But you know, I'll tell you, Jeffy, it's the Russians. They're the good guy. You don't know that. Unless you can offer some real evidence that's not like, I saw it on a right-wing, left-wing website. And they said, and I believed them. Yeah, whatever. Fuck you. I don't buy any of that shit. When all the institutions of power, says Michael, are telling you to step in line with a certain belief, at the very least, you should be skeptical. Sure. You should always be skeptical. These motherfuckers aren't here to tell us the truth. Are you kidding? I agree. Right. Silver Joystick, I'm with you. I don't have enough information to say who I support in war. Here's what I'll tell you, though. The reason I am inclined to believe more Ukraine versus Russia is I haven't heard any stories come out where the Ukrainians are bombing their own civilians, which means, you know, even when we went to war over 9/11, which we attacked the wrong people at first, it wasn't like we were going after the children. I'm not suggesting that we didn't cause mass casualties when we bombed Iraq after 9/11. Of course we did, amongst civilians. Yes, we did. It was tragic. Insane numbers died. But at least the lip service we got was we're not trying, we are trying to sort of lower the blowback amongst anyone who's not an actual adversary in this war. And so when you've got Ukraine buildings that are just apartment buildings and schools and bowling alleys and stuff being blown up by the Russians, what would seriously, what kind of act would Ukraine have to have done to motivate Russia, if they are the good guy, to be so adamant about this that they would be willing to just kill all these civilians? It's hard to believe that. It's weird that war is more than a year. There are still people who don't have all the info about war. Well, because where are you going to get it from? Who are you going to believe? Nikki T, thank you, buddy. Been a member for 17 months. He says, hey, I worked on a short 7-minute animation years ago that I think you'd appreciate. Relates a lot to what you're talking about. I'll send a link. Yeah, please do. That'd be great. Jaffe, you should look into the leaked Pentagon files. Again, this is what I'm saying, Rambo. It's the reason I struggle is that I can, and you must believe this. There's no denying it. You can find anecdotes and stories and news reporting for anything you want, right? And so is there stuff out there that feels compelling, suggesting that the Pentagon has a take on this, that when you discover the leaked documents, it'll spin your head? Yeah. But is it true? Who the fuck knows? Bacon Magma says, hey, man, you should be skeptical. But when people were skeptical about the vaccine, you called them morons and said they lacked tenacity. I agree with everything except saying they lack tenacity. I don't understand what tenacity has to do with it. I do think that when to not take the vaccine, I always thought was stupid. I did. And I didn't mind if people didn't want to take the vaccine. I minded if they wanted to not take the vaccine, but still kind of hang out with other people that didn't know that they had not taken the vaccine. That's where I take issue, because they were putting people in harm's way because their own selfishness. That's what I would fucking say. Leaked files are not exactly easy to access, though. No, they're not. But how do I know they're actually leaked files? How do I know it really came from the Pentagon? RN4L, have you seen the Ukrainian army putting anti-aircraft guns in public apartment complexes? You tell me if that's not a plan to have Russian missiles hit civilians. Could be. Could also be what Palestine does, where they're like, oh, they'll never attack here because there's the civilians. I don't know. Urameshi says my last date was turned off because you got the vaccine. Well, okay, fuck her. I never got it. I never got COVID, says $6. Everyone in my house got COVID and I never did. I haven't been sick since 2014. Okay, so do you have the vaccine or not? I mean, Gravity, hey buddy, thank you. 6 members. He says, hey, you old so-and-so of the Timbuktu so-and-sos. Come on now, you goddamn right. Thank you, buddy. Ducats. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. I really do appreciate it. I appreciate you being a member at that level and regardless, just being part of our fucking community. Thank you, buddy. You should specify that's Gaza, not the West Bank, Palestinians who are governed by the PLO. The point is, though, is that it's a tactic that gets used to, rightly so, stir up sympathy for the Palestinian cause, which I don't think is black and white either. But I don't know. I don't really want to. Here's the deal. I want to get into things that we can talk about. I mean, anything goes if that's what you want to talk about. But the problem with a lot of this stuff these days is I think the real thing to talk about, the thing that we really should be talking about, not necessarily on this show, but in general. Sorry, Gravity. I'll do it. Gravity says, that was the saddest reading of that super chat. You deserve a better one. Here you go. Hey there, you all so-and-so. Ben Broad mode on. Hey there, you all so-and-so of the Timbuktu so-and-sos. Come on now. You goddamn right. Thank you, buddy. Ducats. Boom. There you go. Gravity got his little heart on going.
How dare you?
Well, Greta, it was Gravity's fault. He called me out saying I didn't read it good. And, you know, them's fighting words on the streets I come from. Gavin House, yeah, I've heard it. Russell Brand has a great channel calling out the BS we're force-fed. Some of Russell Brand's stuff I really like, and some of it is like he kind of went round the bend and kind of went from being this very progressive guy to this very conservative guy. And again, I don't know. And I'm not saying that like it's a get-out-of-jail-free card, whereas, well, like Jaffe doesn't know, you must not have an opinion. I don't know. I think people lie all the fucking time. Everything from, no, we don't have any more copies of Tears of the Kingdom in the back, sorry. And it's the guy has 3 or 4, but he's selling them on eBay that night, who works at Best Buy, to the fact that the governments are telling us why we're going to war, to where the vaccine and the pandemic started. So I think the only real thing to talk about is if we as the put upon, as the trodden upon, could extract ourselves from the specifics of the narratives we're being asked to believe and fight each other over, and instead step back at a 30,000 foot view and go, they're doing it again. We're never going to know this, right? They have given us this wonderful, horribly designed riddle that cannot be answered. All it does is serve as an accelerant to get the people that they want to distract at each other's throats, so we don't really go after the 1%, the billionaires, the people in power who have basically sold our freedom so they can have a bigger yacht and more money and more power. And I don't mean that like, haha, haven't I said something profound? I'm saying literally the financing or the monetization of anger and monetization of conflict needs to be our number one enemy that we need to really understand, right? I mean, so El Nini in the chat says, Jaffe, what are your thoughts on Nick Merckx getting his micros taken of Call of Duty for making a tweet? I mean, so he got his, they pulled his operator skin, and he said this sort of anti-LGBT thing. But even that, I'm not going to get into the whole thing on that because we already talked about it, and I know people were tired of hearing about it. But even that is a great example. Even that is a great example, though. The idea that look, nobody on the planet, you're going to find a very rare few number of people on the planet who support sexually abusing anybody, certainly certainly the least of which is not children. Whatever orientation or political party you're part of. That's just fact. That's just fucking fact. Okay? But suddenly it would do our culture some good to go, wait a minute. There's no real evidence of, and this is what this guy who got kicked off Activision was saying. He was sort of associating LGBT folks with pedophiles. And there's zero evidence of that being any more or less than, in fact, I think it's less than, but that's probably because the population is so small of LGBT people compared to non, but being less than straight people, right? Of course, that's what he meant. It's exactly what he meant. He literally said, I don't know. He literally said, I'll tell you what he literally said if you want to know. He said, somebody said, Puckett, who's an announcer for esports, says Americans are in a sad place right now. Let people love who they love and live your life. And this guy, Nick, said they should leave little children alone. That's the real issue. So I'm looking at the tweet, right? That is not the goal at that point, though. I guess what I'm saying is what we should be talking about. The goal should not be to cancel Nick Merckx. What do you mean that's not what he meant? Silent Wrath says that's not what he meant. Well, okay. Explain to me what he meant then, and explain to me why anyone that read it would not assume that it does. Well, it does matter what he meant. It totally matters what he meant, right? I mean, if he misspoke, he could say, "Oh no, I didn't mean that. What I was trying to express," and then most people would forgive him. And if not, then they're a problem. But how do you square what he said if he wasn't literally associating, like a lot of people, LGBT with groomers? Okay, but the bigger point, though, is that what should be happening is when we see something like this happening, unless this guy's just a fucking idiot, is going, hey, see, this narrative is being allowed. I mean, it should be allowed because it's freedom of speech, but this narrative is taking hold and there's no evidence of it. And so we should be sure to make it clear to people that this is a bullshit narrative. Silent Wrath says he meant as a father, he doesn't want these views to be pushed into the education system. He'd rather explain it to his kids himself. Okay, but even that though, I think you would be mistaken if, hang on, remind me, Silent Wrath, because I do want to respond to that, unless this, are you there? Did I get you? Okay, I'll bring Spazbo on in a second. I don't know where that person went. So this idea, though, that's another false narrative that's being pushed. I live in a very progressive part of the world. The idea that you're under the impression that 5, 6, 8, 10-year-olds are going to school and they're like, I don't really know what you would teach them, but here's how you give yourself a T-shot, and here's you should be trans, or you should be LGB, or all they're doing is saying, hey, the world is a diverse place, people. Your female teacher may be married to a woman. We may have people in class that have 2 moms, 2 dads, or a mom and a dad, or only 1 mom, or a kid who's in foster care. Let's celebrate everybody and let's stop making people feel like shit because of who they are. That's what 99% of this shit is. If you actually can provide evidence, not like, oh, look, libs of TikTok showed me this crazy video. Show me fucking real evidence that is not just anecdotal, like statistically speaking, that kids are out there in these schools and they are being every day indoctrinated by anything other than, hey, we should accept people. Now, if you don't feel that we should accept everyone, okay, well, then you and I would have an issue and we should have that conversation. You're not constant. Don't give me that. Send it to me. There's not an abundance of evidence. He says, Jaffe, I love you, but dude, we're constantly seeing videos and reports and tweets and shit from parents showing their kids coming home with these books. What's the, yes, you did. Show me, send me something. Gavin says, I didn't know anything about my teachers' relationships. Yes, you did. Yes, you absolutely did. You knew if you know, I knew if my teachers were married. Oh, what's that on your finger? Oh, it's a wedding ring. What's a wedding ring? Oh, who's that picture on your desk? That's my husband. Oh, is he a teacher? Nope, he works for the oil company. Sure you do. It's not sexuality. Why talk about sexuality to little kids? Understanding, give me an example of what that means. It's not like that, Jaffe, I promise you. Have you seen the children's book of 2 homosexual males having sex? No, give me a link. I'll look it up. I think that no amount of evidence will convince you. Why don't you show it to me? I'll let you know. It's Jaffe. What's up? Thanks for calling.
Hey, hello.
What's up? Is this Spazbo?
Hey, Jaffe. How's it going, man?
Who is this?
This is Justin.
Where did you get this number? Why are you calling me at home?
It's right on the screen, man.
God damn it! What's going on, baby?
Hey, I just want. So you made Twisted Metal and God of War, right?
Well, I was the lead designer and co-designer and director on those games. Huge teams made them.
What the fuck are we talking about on the stream then? You're saying like sexuality and shit?
Well, do me a favor. Are you watching the stream right now?
Yeah.
Okay, what's the title of this stream? What's it say? What's it called?
Free Swim Friday. Any topic goes.
You want to ask me your dumb question again?
Yeah. I thought you made Twisted Metal and God of War and shit. What are we talking about?
Why don't you read the title of the stream again? One more time, sir.
Free Swim Friday. Any topic goes.
Okay. Ask me your question again.
Yeah, but like, why are we? I thought you made Twisted Metal and God of War and shit.
Please tell me you're a troll. Please tell me you're a troll, because otherwise I weep for the fucking future. See you later, buddy. Thanks for calling, Justin. I love you. There he goes, fellas. All right. RN4L. I'm not against homosexuality. I just don't think kids should be seeing any of that, not even men and women. I don't know what you're talking about. What do you think these kids are seeing? Send me a link or tell me what to Google. And I will Google it and I will see what you're talking about. I would love to know what you're talking about. I'd love to Google this book and see it. Can somebody give me the title of it and I'll just Google it? Why are the hidden attacks in Twisted 2 commands instead of pickups? Because we wanted it to feel more like a fighting game, and we also wanted you to be able to access those attacks, assuming you had enough energy stored up instantly. Whereas if you had to have a pickup, it would be like, oh, I would love to freeze you, but I can't do it. Hey, it's Jaffe. What's up?
Hey, sorry to interrupt your stream again, but
is this Justin?
That last guy that called, he's an idiot, dude. Like you said in the title of the video, the title of your stream right now, it's just any topic goes.
Anything goes, like, baby.
Nothing's off limits.
That's exactly right.
So that dude's kind of ludicrous. You know, he thinks like you're going to talk about just Twisted Metal the whole time.
Yeah,
It's not gonna be like
I'm
that.
more than that's right. I'm more than happy to talk Twisted Metal. There's just not a lot to say anymore. What else you want to know? But I'm with you, baby.
Exactly.
I'm with you.
Yeah, you've been streaming for a while now. If you watched a lot of your streams, you'd already get the lowdown on Twisted Metal, I'm pretty sure.
You goddamn right. How long you been watching this stream for? How new are you?
I've probably been watching since you. I don't know. I've been following you since the Running with Scissors game, but I barely watched the stream. I'm new. I've only been watching probably for here and there for a couple weeks.
How dare you?
That breaks my heart. But I'm glad you're here, buddy. Welcome. What's your name?
Johnny.
Johnny. All right. Well, Johnny, thank you for being part of our community. Thanks for calling. Call back anytime, sir. Have a good weekend.
All right. Thanks a lot. Have a good one.
You too,
David.
sir. Nice fella. All right. I'm going to bring in Spazbo, who says he has seen an alien. Spazbo, what the fuck are you on about? You've seen an alien?
So, hang on, I gotta mute your stream real quick.
I wonder if you're echoing.
Let me know if
it's
right?
echoing. Do I what now?
No, I'm just messing with you. No, okay, so I do have like a UFO story.
All right, go.
It's kind of short though. So, like one time when I was driving home from dropping my sister off somewhere, it was like pretty late. Like the sun was just almost about down, so like there's sort of light in the sky.
Okay.
From the sun, but I saw like these 6 or 7 balls of light floating in the sky. I'm not sure how high exactly they were, but like they were just like floating there, and I was like, "What the hell is that?" I'm trying to look at it while I'm driving home. I'm like, "What the hell?" And then as it gets darker, because the sun's going down still, like they start like all the lights. Oh yeah, these lights are like about the same size as that police cam footage.
Okay.
That it's basically the same size as that, I think. This was a long time ago though, so it's hard to remember. But at one point, like there's one in the middle, and then it's surrounded by a bunch of other lights. And then at one point, all the lights surrounding it just scatter. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on up there? So, that's my UFO story.
Well, how long? Everything scattered from the center light, but how long did the center light stay?
Well, the center light was moving too. It like it got away. Like I couldn't see it anymore. Like they all scattered, and then the center light just went off too. But they all split up from each other.
Okay, so do you to this day go that was aliens, or it could have been anything? Could have been weather balloons. Could have been.
I've gotten it. Well, it couldn't have been weather balloons. The way they were all flying in uniform together, and then and then I was like, "What the hell is that?" And then they all scatter, and I'm like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, were you watching a fireworks show? Oh yeah.
Yeah, because fireworks stay up in the air for longer.
Some do now these days. They do, but you know who knows, man. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, let me ask you: do you believe that aliens are out there?
I've got no idea.
Nah, me neither. That's the fun part. We don't get to know. It's all.
But I just had no idea what I saw, and this was like before, drones. Like people were flying their own drones got popular, so
Right.
I had no idea what the hell I was seeing.
Okay. Well, if you see him again, call back. Hell, if you see him again, put him on video. Share it with us.
Oh, I would love to.
All right, I'll get back to you right when the show ends because I want to talk about what's happening tomorrow. I'm still trying to find players on the West Coast to play Trick Shot for a play test tomorrow. So I'll talk to you in a little bit.
Okay, cool. I'll see you.
All right, man. There goes Spaz off into the evening. I have not played the Liza P demo yet. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot. You know, there was one thing that people absolutely believed were aliens, and it ended up just being flares, right? That were falling. Trick Shot is great. If you don't know what he's talking about, and here's a call to action, fellas. If you're watching the stream and you're on the West Coast, ideally, or the Central Time Zone area, and you only bring it up, and you want to help me, I am doing some consulting for this game from a company called Meddling Kids called Trick Shot. And it's basically Quake meets Tony Hawk. And me and Spaz and Brett did a little playtest a couple of weeks ago. There was a lot of changes they've made since then. And We'd like to do a playtest this weekend, ideally tomorrow, because Sunday is the show, the Xbox show, so we're not going to be able to do it on Sunday. It's totally okay if you suck at it, as long as you have a PC, because it's a PC game, and as long as it's a PC that allows you to go online and play games. Absolutely. Hit me up in the Discord, Zeke. I would love to have you on, especially since you're in Arizona. That would be perfect. Perfect. So if you're watching this and you want to be part of it, hit me up. Hit me up on the Discord. I'm not talking about the Phoenix Lights. I'm talking about it was something else. I know what the Phoenix Lights were. I was at an E3 or some video game conference when that was all going down live. No, this is something different. It is sick. It's very, very cool. It's a very, very cool game. It's coming along. But anyway, the point being, though, Zeke or anybody else, let me know if you want to do it. Let me know what time you can do it tomorrow. And we can probably kind of work around that. So, dude says, Jaffe, the lighting in Trick Shot sucks. Do they not have a lighting artist? It's a 2.5-man team. Give them a break. Eventually, if they find a publisher, I'm sure they'll hire some people to fill out a lot of things that are missing. Oh yeah, so that's a great point. It's free to play tomorrow. I'll just give you a code. I don't know if they've locked down a business model yet. You got to play it. This is an old build. The new build has actually come a long way from this trailer. Ricardo says, isn't a UFO game coming out? So I was so disappointed because the game is called, at least the one I'm looking at, is the Gray. Is it called the Gray Field? The Gray. Hang on, I'll show it to you. The Gray Hill Incident, and the trailer looks great. And I want to say, I think I even played the demo of this, and it was just so fucking cool. I'm not sure if this is the one I played or not. But then the reviews have just been terrible. It's like it looks great, it sounds great, but it plays like shit. It was not ready to release yet. This should have had more time in the oven. So I'm really bummed about that because I've rarely seen horror alien video games, and I really wanted this. But at least unless they've released a patch since they've released the game. You're looking at 122 mostly negative reviews on Steam, at which point I'm kind of, and for that reason, I'm out. You know what I'm saying? Hey, Alan Wake 2, man, dude, that was one of my favorite things they showed yesterday. Absolutely. Absolutely. Kevin Sal says, I'm hearing lots of buzz about Fable being there on Sunday. Cool, I guess. I mean, again, I wasn't playing Xbox enough back when Fable was a thing to play it. What do you mean I tanked? Did my stream die again? So I don't really have much allegiance for Fable. Fable to me always seemed like it was just sort of some generic fantasy thing, which doesn't mean it's bad or anything. It's just like I don't really know why people are so excited about Fable. It seems just like a very generic IP. Alan Wake is an Xbox staple, and you said they have nothing. Well, it's not an exclusive, as far as I know. Alan Wake 2 is not an exclusive. Fable had that sort of cheeky British humor that made it stand out. Okay, I mean, I'll it's free. It'll be on Game Pass. I don't think we'll hear anything about GTA 6 right now. No, I do not. I absolutely do not. I am interested. Let me ask you this question real quick. I was talking to Ricardo, and I was just like, hey, man, we got to get one of these CEOs on Alan Wake is not an Xbox IP, though. Alan Wake is a Remedy IP. That's like saying Gears of War is yes, Microsoft owns it, but that came from the brain trust over at Epic. And the only guy that was really involved from Microsoft, which was Ferguson, went over and quit his job at Microsoft to work on Gears of War 1 at Epic. I have not playing, I will play Lies of P. I'm just, honestly, every minute I get that I want a game, I'm playing Diablo right now. So you just pre-ordered Armored Core. What made you pre-order it? What was the reason? You're not wrong, Kevin. Kevin says Microsoft badly needs some notable and outstanding IPs. Somebody clip this and just send it to Phil Spencer, because I'm always nervous tagging him because he blocked me once, and I don't want to be blocked by the guy. He seems like a decent human, but look, here's what he needs to do. I'm serious, because you're right. The Microsoft IP are insanely uninspired. Now, we haven't seen their new batch of stuff, but from, there's a lot of, and again, I love some of their games. I loved Wasteland 3. I'm excited for what Fargo and his team are doing in Exile. But there's so much generic fantasy shit, or there's so much racing or flying planes. It's like they don't need to make Sony-style games, but they need Double Fine does a good job, but their stuff is always niche. They need somebody who really gets the cultural zeitgeist. Here's what they should do. They get Ferguson on to run product development, internal, external. I'm not, people are like, well, I can't manage all those teams. No, he would no longer be the manager of individual games, but he would manage the portfolio and the production process. And then hire Cliff Bleszinski, who has made it clear he is open to something like this. Hire him as your IP generator. Him and Ferguson have a great relationship. They've made Magic before, and Cliff has consistently shown either games that have been made by him or games he's designed that haven't come to light yet, that the guy can create and kick off IPs and work with a team to get it done. Again, maybe I don't know, maybe they have a different agenda than what I think they should have, and that's why they're not doing it. Xbox has more new IPs than Sony, Water Princess. I don't even know if that's true, and if it is true, none of them have lodged themselves in the zeitgeist. Nobody's running around really talking about their IP. I mean, Hellblade 2? Nobody cares about Hellblade 2. I'm not saying I'm not excited to play the game. I'm not saying the first game I haven't played it, but the first game wasn't a masterpiece, blah, 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 blah. I get it. But it didn't lodge itself in the cultural love. Hi-Fi Rush, I agree with you. Hi-Fi Rush is the shit. I loved it. The dude says, Jaffe, do you think Cliff Bleszinski's humble enough to actually create a great new IP? I do. No. Cliff is a team player. Cliff is a smart guy. Cliff is... he knows he has the Cliff Bleszinski character he plays. He's acknowledged this. And he also knows that you can't walk into work and be that. Read his book. Read Control Freak. He's not this megalomaniac that a lot of people think he is, which he would take credit for. He would say, yeah, that was a character I created. And, it's hard to shake off a character like that. But, all right. So I'm still looking for these. Okay, so I was talking to Ricardo. Let me ask this real quick. I'm talking to Ricardo, and I says, I really want to get one of these CEOs on. And there are a couple of companies now. We've talked about this a little bit in the past. There are more and more companies that are creating ways to connect with people who have passed on by using social media footprint. I don't know what Clint Hawking's view of me is. I don't think he likes me very much, which is weird, because I've never had a beef with the guy. The only time I've ever talked to him was at GDC once, and we got along fine. But anyway, these guys are creating virtual characters based on people who have passed. And there's a lot of people that, and I would love it. I hope to God that my children are able to take all of the videos I've done and the tweets and this and that and the other and personal letters I've written them and emails. And when I'm gone, if they want, they can say, okay, we'll pay this company $9 a month or whatever it is, and they'll give us a visual and AI avatar of Dad. And we can talk to him. Dad, I had a rough day. Dad, what do you think about this? Hell, Dad, keep doing your stream. You'll be dead, but fuck it. We'll run it, whatever. And people are just turned off by this. And I don't understand what the problem is. It's like, you're not, you'll walk around your house and talk to dead people. I know I do. A lot of people talk to people who have died when they're alone walking around their house. You'll go to a cemetery and talk to them. You'll pray to God, right? No one is saying that these people are going to replace your loved ones. Of course, they're not the actual loved ones. But so what? You don't think that would be? I mean, there's sort of two issues. One of them, or two uses for this. One of them is the grieving, and it's like, hey, I want to connect with my dad or whatever. And then beyond that, imagine that this technology. I mean, imagine in 100 years, someone's like, hey, I'm writing a paper on the presidency of Donald Trump or Barack Obama. I want to speak to the official government avatar of Barack Obama and do an interview. Again, I'm not suggesting that you people are wrong who think it's creepy. I'm just saying my brain doesn't go there. I think it's compelling. I think it's cool. How do you feel about using this to keep an ex-girlfriend? I'm fine with it. I mean, because the problem is all this is what you're already doing. Right? If you have sexual fantasies, whether you're by yourself or you are having sex with someone else, but you're thinking about your ex-girlfriend, what's the difference? What's the fucking difference? It's still you're stepping into something. She doesn't have to deal with it. She doesn't have to see it. She doesn't have to know about it. But if you're like, hey, I still love her and I like to have, text chat or phone sex chat or whatever with her, what's the problem? What's the fucking problem? I don't see it. Now, if you wanted to monetize it and sell it, okay, sure, that's a problem. That's what the world needs: less connection with humans and more with AI. I'm going to tell you this. Now, I could be wrong. My mind is always open to be proven wrong, and I'm down with that. I'm not being facetious with you here. But humans have a assumption. Dead Riff says less connection with humans, more AI. Beats Game says that's sad. AI ex-girlfriend. Do you keep your ex pics and videos? Water Princess says I don't, but she doesn't know that I don't. But I don't, because it just didn't seem like something I wanted to have. But this idea that there is a real world. It's like we're so up in our own fucking bullshit. We don't see half of the world. More than that, the fact that there was a story the other day from reputable science that says that tomato plants, when they are being cut or under stress, they make sounds that other plants and certain animals can hear. And now we can hear them if you do the experiment the scientists did, and it sounds like popcorn popping. I mean, there's all kinds of things happening out there that are not part of our concept of the real world. The real world is not made up of this. It's made up of the things that make up this. We're living in time, if you are able to see, X split seconds in the past, because our vision is that far back. So the idea that, it's the real world, we don't want to have anything getting in the way of that. Why? It's everything's getting in the way of that. It's not about a hippie site. Go look it up. Seriously, go right now and type in tomato plant scream in pain. And you will see that popping up on major news sites. Is the real issue, thank you for the super chat, buddy. Vitaphone says, too many unknowns. Unknowns, no one could have predicted all the negative ramifications of social media or the net. Yeah, but who cares? I mean, that's the goddamn honest truth. We're not going to stop progress. We've never stopped progress. The best thing we can do as a people is learn how to ride the waves and go, social media has brought us a lot of shit, but you know what? It also brought us the fact that we are now questioning almost everything the government says, which is a pretty good place to be within reason. Okay? And so our goal should not be, let's get rid of social media. It should be, how do we learn to deal with the way technology has offered great things and terrible things? I have not seen Hideo Kojima's documentary yet. I want to. I know it's premiering this weekend in New York. No one is going to stop me from eating burgers and steak. Nobody wants to. Eat all you want. I don't give a fuck. I'm reading the chat. Sorry, fellas. I think you're a bit of a maverick, Jaffe, says Mr. K. It's exciting. Sometimes you're oblivious to the negative effects that things have on society, like the e-thought camgirl thing you guys talked about. I don't know what that is. The camgirl thing. The e-thought camgirl thing. Oh, the fact that you can do camgirls in VR? It's not that I'm oblivious to the negative effects, Mr. K. It's that I've lived long enough to recognize that our species advances by creation and then adapting to the good and the bad that comes from that creation. And the alternative, which is let's, batten down the hatches and never go outside, it is an either or. It's binary. It's not like you can do a little bit of it. It's like you're either in bed with, we want to advance and cure cancer and have AI help us stop war and understand psychology better and figure out how to feed the homeless, or we basically want more of the same. You can't pick and choose the technology you allow for very long. Not about stopping progress, as Vita. It's about building guardrails. The consensus is social media is a negative net, as though there are fixes. Money is and will stop fixing. I don't know if the consensus is social media is a negative net. If you, I know exactly what you're saying, right? I get it. I think social media has been terrible for the psychology of this country, and certainly for kids and teenagers, 100%. But I think it also has allowed people, whether you're talking LGBT people, whether you're talking MAGA people, whether you're talking people you despise like racist, or you're talking people that you love that are finding connection like theater kids or fans of a certain football team, there is an ability to connect with the kinds of people that are your people and your tribe that never existed before. And so I think I would argue that, and it's also allowed us to have a great skepticism of the powers that be, because now people can share things that don't have to go through gatekeepers at ABC News or whatever. And so all I'm fucking saying is that, do I acknowledge there is some really bad shit? Fuck yeah. But I think the goal is to work through the bad shit and adapt to it and evolve from it and improve it, versus going, oh, see, bad shit, let's not do anything. Let's be fucking, terrified of anything that we don't know. It's not that I'm a maverick. It's that I know that ultimately this is how progress gets done. All right. Anyway. I'm very curious. I'm still waiting for some links about these LGBT groomers that you guys are talking about. I'm looking. Let me see. Somebody tell me something. Somebody tell me something I can type in to the Google. It's not black and white, says Mr. K. It's not let's not progress at all. I'm not saying we shouldn't be cautious, but the idea that just because somebody thinks it's creepy that an AI can replicate somebody who's died and passed on, what's the matter with that? You don't have to use it if you don't like it. And I'm not opposed to guardrails, but I'll tell you something about the guardrails, though, is that when you're talking about AI, it's so fucking frustrating. And I've actually said this to AI before in ChatGPT, and it's acknowledged it. But then it goes right back to it. I'm like, please stop treating me like I'm fucking 5. Because every time I ask you any question that's more basic than why is the sky perceived as blue, you're like, well, let's be clear. Not everybody agrees with this. Or it's like, I get it. There's a chance you're going to say something that isn't accurate or that not everybody agrees with, and you're covering your ass. Could I just check that box that says, I got it. Don't show me this again, right? Or if I want to go over, I mean, the fact that I can go over to, what's the art generator, Midjourney, and I can create like slasher characters. And then when I say, okay, have blood on its axe or whatever, and it says, oh yeah, we can't do that. I'm like, okay, fine. Put red jelly jam that looks gross. It'll do that. It's like, who's putting up the guardrails? Who's putting up the guardrails? That's a ridiculous guardrail. Okay, I'm still waiting. Sexuality is handled very open in Europe, where guns are a no-no, less murders, less sex crime. Oh, I know. It's ridiculous. It's fucking ridiculous. Yeah, Mr. K says, well, I explained to you why I didn't send you anything, because any site that discusses it will be right-leaning, because obviously no left-leaning site will publish an article about LGBT in schools being negative. Wow, how convenient. So there's nothing, the AP, Reuters, nothing that's more centrist that can point out all of I mean, think about what you're saying. You're basically saying you're not going to buy any news that comes from the mainstream because you feel it's been corrupted, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with having that opinion. I don't agree with it, but I respect the fact that you could have arrived at that conclusion. That's great. But the fact that now that the response to that is to not trust anyone. The response to that is not to go, oh, I'll just believe this shit that has absolute motivation, just like the big mainstream news, for lying in order to get clicks and notoriety and grow their business. So I get the reason that you would reject the left news. I don't get the reason suddenly you would automatically go to the other side. Nick says, Jaffe, you'll be waiting forever for those links since they don't exist. You don't have to wait for my link, though. I sent in Discord. Excellent. Thank you, sir. What did you... Oh, you sent me the video. I will look at that after the show. Search the search query. This book is gay school library. Okay. I don't care. Yeah, let me look. I'm going to look into this is gay book. This... What is it called? This book is gay. All right. Let's see. I'll say pictures. Okay, here we go. This book is gay, the best-selling young adult nonfiction book on sexuality and gender. Lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, straight, curious. The book is for everyone. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to go to the ins and outs of gay sex. Okay, let me click on that. Part 1, boy on boy sex. Okay, talk to me about what's bad about this. I don't want to put it on the chat or on the video because I'll probably get, but here, I'll put this is what I'm looking at, okay? Although that's too big of a link. Let me make an easier link. Hang on. This is a book I'm looking at. Thanks for bringing this to our attention. The Sioux City School District. We are unaware of contents in the book. It has been removed from our library. Okay, so I haven't read this yet, but I want to show you what I'm looking at. And if you want to look at it as well, you can look at it as well. It's not a kid's book. That's right. It's a young adult book. It's, but there's a lot of young, kids shouldn't be able to read every book that, depending on their age. But certainly if you're in late middle school and high school, what's the problem? So if you guys can see boy on boy sex, here's a diagram of a boy. If you are also a boy, you are probably aware which parts feel nice when you touch them. But here's a rough guide. The lips, the neck, skin, penis, nipples, bum, and then a word I can't read. Thighs? Oh, testicle. Okay. It tells you how sex apps work. Upload a pic. It tells you where the nearest homosexuals are. You can chat to them, because they are near. It may be easy to meet up with them. Do you not think people don't know about this, how apps work? Hello, Waynos in the Discord. This chapter is about sex, therefore it has sex in it. Well, duh. If you are a younger reader and feel you aren't ready for the finer details of same-sex pairings, then simply skip the chapter. However, before you do, I'd like to remind you that we taught you all about straight sex when you were 10 years old during year 6. The fact that they didn't also teach you same-sex is nothing less than institutionalized homophobia. Straight sex was presented as the norm to make 5% of the population feel abnormal. Is there something icky about gay sex? Is there something wrong with it? I challenge any politician to discuss this with me. I will ruin them. This chapter is simply all the stuff teachers should be saying if they want to be inclusive of people with same sex. What's the problem? Is there a problem here? I don't understand what the problem is. What does it matter if, you know, again, this is not, if this is a book that's being taught to 8-year-olds or preschoolers, there's a problem. But that's a problem that has more to do with, you know, that's an isolated incident. But if this is something that you can check out when you're a teenager, or even a preteen, like, you know, 12, why would you not want your children to know at that age about this, whether they're gay or not? Let's assume they are. Let's assume that they're curious, or they don't know, or they're confused. Why is this a bad thing? Your kids are watching the fucking porn anyway, right? I mean, you think your kids don't already fucking know this? Come on, man. All right, Bachelor, good to see you, buddy. I mean, I'm waiting. I'm sitting here. I'm not being facetious. I'm asking a question. Alexa, stop. I'm asking a question. Does anybody have an answer why this is bad at that age? Alexa, stop. What do you mean it's a kid's book? It's literally... what do you mean it's a kid's book? It says it is a book for students, for young adults. And again, I will take your take under advisement, but I'm looking right now. It's identified as a young adult book. I don't agree with the inclusion of gay sex apps for underage kids. They're not including the app in the fucking book. They're just telling you how it works. Hey, it's Jaffe.
Hey, Jaffe, it's Michael.
What's up, Michael?
Hey, so let's talk about this book for just a sec. All right.
Go ahead.
Okay, couldn't hear you. There we go.
Yeah, let's do it.
So, I don't know if you remember, probably not, but my kid, right, he's 10, almost 11, he's going into 5th grade.
Okay.
He's autistic.
Okay.
He's going into middle school, right? And this book was pulled from a middle school library.
Okay, why?
I promise you he has no fucking idea about porn or whatever. Like, he just plays
hang on. Wait a sec. Middle school in your son's world is what age? If you go into middle school, you're like, what, 13?
He's 10 right now.
And he's in middle school at 10?
Going in 5th grade, yeah.
5th grade is not middle school. 5th grade is 7th grade. But okay, where?
No, in my area, we have whatever name middle school. It's 5th grade. I went there when I was a kid. That's what middle school is.
Okay, fine.
So like, it's not just like 7th and 8th. 7th and 8th, I'm expecting by then he's going to run into this shit. Like,
so a 10-year-old kid, I would say, you know, I don't think it's going to hurt anything, but I can understand why you wouldn't want kids checking out anything to do with this level of information about same sex or different sex, anything other than like, some people have 2 dads, some people have a mom and a dad, some people have 2 moms. That's it. Short
Yeah,
of
I mean,
that,
and those are conversations we've already had. I mean, we've had the conversations with our 7-year-old girl. Who's
Okay, great.
Not autistic.
Okay,
she's
great.
super sharp.
Okay,
right?
so
it's like,
assuming we
Nobody
agree
cares.
with that, and assuming that your 10-year-old is too young for this book, and again, the book is listed as a young adult book, what's the problem of having 7th graders and up have a book like this? I think that would be great. If you're a gay kid and you're like, I feel, especially you're not like in a progressive part of the world, and you're like, I feel alone, I feel confused. Oh my God, there's a book here that really gets me. What's the problem?
Does that book need to be in the school library, or
Sure,
can
why
they just
not?
Google like gay-friendly book at home and
Well, why
find
does
it
it
and be
matter?
like,
Why
I'm gonna fucking download this to my Kindle and watch it or something.
Okay, so let's
Or
take
read it.
that. Well, let's take that. So
Like, why does it have to be in the taxpayer-funded public school library for some 50-year-old fucking weird teacher who could be a predator, could be a new teacher from out of town no one's ever fucking heard of? They haven't
Okay,
known the
so
whole
Art,
fucking
let me understand
like
this.
they
So
don't know who these people are.
Okay, so oh boy, so you're saying to me that every book in the library you have to agree with. There needs to be almost be like a vote, and all the parents just have to
You
agree.
need to open that book, dude, and look through it. I'm not talking about thumb through the family-friendly fucking pages on YouTube or whatever. Like, look at the
Be
book.
specific.
Download that shit
No,
tonight.
no,
and
you
take a
tell
look
me.
at it.
You tell me what. Give me an example of something in the book that you feel you're representing that is not represented in what I'm talking about on the screen.
Would you let another fucking adult on the street just randomly come up to your kid? You are not around. The kid went to the fucking bathroom. Some dude comes up. Here's this book. It's a book filled with fucking pictures of minors sucking each other's dicks. Like, what?
Where is that?
It
Okay,
says
for,
boy on,
well, okay. Well, wait a minute.
It says boy on boy, dude. Boy on boy, not man on man.
It's clearly when
Like,
you look at the picture.
The terminology is pretty fucking weird.
When you look at the picture,
the art style is kiddie as shit.
I'm
Gender
looking at
queer
it
is another
right
fucking
now.
book that's
I'm
really
no,
weird like that.
I'm going to be honest with you, man. I'm going to be fucking honest with you. I think you're. I don't know where the energy for your position is coming from, but it doesn't seem like it's coming from a kind, pure place, because the scenario that you've just created.
It's coming from a highly skeptical place. I don't trust fucking anybody, dude.
Okay,
I don't.
and that's
I can't be around my kids 24/7.
Okay,
I wish I could, but
okay,
I can't.
but what? Okay, so let's take the worst case scenario, right? There's already laws against pedophilia. There's laws against anybody doing anything to a child. Okay, do you think this book is for young adults, right? So, what do you think is?
But it's not just young adults being exposed to this shit.
Well, okay, but that's anything. That's like saying
it's in the same library. Like where I'm at, like I said, it's not the 7th, 8th grade. It's fucking 5th graders. They haven't even started puberty yet.
Okay, so then how
Some
about
might,
saying
but a lot even happen. It's fucking weird.
Okay, well, how about saying every book that is only able to be checked out by 7th graders, the kids, anybody who's not in 7th grade or up can't come into this section of the library. I mean, they're
not likely. Even then, it's not that every book has to be approved. How about like every book with pictures of fucking boys sucking each other's dicks
Where
in
is
the
that?
library
Where
has to
is
be
that?
approved. Like, not every book is going to have that.
Well, show me. Is that where is that book? Is that book in this book? That picture?
Genderqueer has a lot of weird depictions.
I'm talking about this book. I'm talking about the
book. This book is gay. Definitely has it. In there
that's
somewhere.
what I'm looking at right now. So you're telling me if I Google this book is gay, and then also Google blowjobs or what? Let me do that.
Something. Yeah, be careful googling that.
I'm not going to be care. What do I care? It's I don't think anything's wrong with this. So I do see.
It's not that it's boys. It's weird. It's like, I don't know. Maybe I'm weird with the linguistics, but someone says
you
boy
are
on
because
boy,
I'm looking at gender. I'm looking at genderqueer right now, and there is a picture of a guy sucking off another guy. These are not children. These are high school kids. Clearly, these are young adults. Okay, so what's the problem?
So are they just borderline 17, 18, and like?
How would I know? I don't fucking know.
Exactly.
But what I'm saying is they don't present.
11, 12-year-old ain't gonna fucking know either, and
Dude.
it's meant for them. It's in their library.
Okay, again, I need you to listen. You do what you got to do. Do what you want to do, of course. But I would recommend listening back to this and seeing just how you come across, because the fact of the matter is,
I don't care. I don't
then
mind showing it to them to be like, this is what it is. You're going to hear conversations about this. You're going to see shit like this. Why does the fucking school teacher where does the school teacher get off having that sort of authority?
What authority? What authority? It's a book in a library. I would agree with you if a school teacher stood up in 5th grade at 10-year-old and said, I'm going to teach you this book. And in this book, let's talk about oral sex, blah, 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 blah. Okay, cool. That's a problem. Okay, but that's not happening.
You want to make a bet?
Yeah, I would like to make a bet. I would absolutely like to make a bet that you cannot get. I'll bet you $100 that you cannot give me.
Are we talking just in general schools or like grade levels? You want to see a video of like a teacher sitting up front?
I need to
talking
know
some weird shit.
Weird is subjective. What I'm saying is
this kind of weird. Like here's how you go to Target and find some fucking sex toys. Here's what to do. What to do is how you use them.
I'll be very specific. Not this book being in a library, because I would agree with you. If this isn't a school library, but any age like under 12 can check it out or read it, I don't think that's a great idea, because I think a lot of kids are just too young, and why stir the pot? But I think when you're 12, you're pre-adolescent or adolescent, and this is relevant to you.
You're getting curious. I agree.
Absolutely,
sure.
right. So
you're curious by 12.
Okay, and let's assume it's not that big of a deal. I mean, a lot of people are like, hey, let's fucking arm the teachers with guns to protect our kids. I'm sure they could at least figure out how to put some books behind a fucking desk that you can only look at if you hit a certain age group, okay? So let's assume that's a solvable problem.
I doubt it.
Let's assume that's a solvable problem, though, okay? Let's assume that can be dealt with, okay? At that point, then, what you're saying is there are school teachers that are not in a sex ed class, because any sex ed class, the parent has to sign a permission slip and say, I want my kid to be in this class. But if you're just saying there are classes that are 6th grade and below, or any classes really, but let's just say 6th grade and below, where parents have not signed a permission slip saying this is okay, that there is a teacher standing up in class and going, here's one dude sucking off another dude, and here's how you do it. I will give you $100 if you can find me that.
So 6th grade and below is what we're looking for. So by high school, let's think about it this way. If it's in like high school and it's not a sex ed class, but it's still just random. Teacher gets up there, starts talking some sex educational shit, but it's not a sex ed class. Does that still count?
Say that.
Or you just want 6th grade and below?
Well, I'm basically, because I think where you and I agree is that there is an age factor here. That if you're saying the book called This Book is Gay, which is what I'm looking at right now, that is being made available, no questions asked, to kids like 10-year-old and under, 11-year-old maybe and under, I would agree with you. That's a problem. And so what I'm saying is...
There's definitely articles I can pitch to you where it's been said that like these kids are bringing this shit back and being like, look what I found. I'm intelligent enough to know what I found. Here it is.
Okay, but that's not what I said. If the way they were able to get the book at that age is because the library lets kids check anything out, then I think that's a problem. You and I both agree. But I think once you get to a certain... What's that?
I mean, that's basically it. I just don't think...
Yeah, but I agree with that. I agree with that.
Like you said, you have this thing of like being 7th, 8th grade, where I'm at, middle school's earlier, prepubescent.
Okay, and we've already solved that problem. Haven't we already solved that problem? Which is, okay, if you're not in grade 7 or up, you can't check this out. That problem...
I mean, you would hope so, but where I'm at, and there ain't even nobody in the fucking library. It's like you just go in and grab your shit. Like, we don't... It's a small rural area is what I'm saying. My particular spot. It's just... It is what it is. Maybe in highly trafficked areas you can get shit like that.
Does your son... He has a Switch. Does he have a phone?
No, he doesn't. I mean, he has an iPad. It's like locked down. It's only meant for his autistic kind of like language program.
I understand.
People probably know what I'm talking about.
I do. I know exactly what you're talking about. I get it. I get it. And that's great. And it's great you're a loving dad. But I will tell you that it might do you some good. In my opinion, I don't mean to be condescending to you, because everybody loves their kids. I love my kids. I don't want my kids being hurt either. But just ask yourself that the vast majority of people and parents that are in support of this, not the thing we're describing, because, again, I don't see any evidence of that, but Because we know there are kids out there that also need to be protected, that even though they are 5% of the amount of kids in America is a lot. And we don't want them, parents like us, we don't want them growing up feeling they're wrong, they're weird, they're bad, they're evil, they should be shamed for who they are. That is not what we want them exposed to. And so we're trying to protect kids as well. And it is very frustrating to have the vast majority of parents who support children in general, but certainly kids who are different than the norm, painted as groomers and pedophiles, like we're some kind of cartoon character that doesn't love our children and doesn't have their interest at heart. We can disagree and we can debate on what age should this or that be available, and that's fine. And we can talk about the ways we can protect kids from being exposed to certain things. That's fine. But the idea that that goes from that very logical conversation to, if you support this, you're a groomer, you're a pedophile, and we want to get rid of this stuff. I think that's a result of propaganda.
I don't go that far. I know a lot of people who do go that far with it, as far as being like, well, you have this position, you are an obvious pedophile, groomer, or whatever. I don't see it. I see it more as it's a parental rights issue. I'm overprotected. I'm the stay-at-home disabled veteran dad.
Yeah.
With
but what did you fucking fight for?
Issues, so.
What were you fighting for, if not the freedom for people to have freedom to raise their kids the way they want?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like my kids.
Okay, but no one is forcing this on your children.
Like, parents should be able to teach this shit to their kids and do whatever when they want. That their kids should know there's no question off limits to your parents.
Yeah.
But if somebody else tries to like throw their hat in the ring and be like, well, I'm the parent now because your parents haven't taught you about this yet.
I get it.
That shouldn't even be a fucking thing. It should be, dude, you got a question about that? Go home and ask your parents. I ain't about to get into that conversation with you.
Okay, great.
I just don't think the teachers should have
but
that
again,
sort of,
you need to suggest
like, laissez-faire attitude about it.
Well, okay, but you need to suggest to me where these actual stories are, where teachers are standing up in front of 10-year-olds and going, hey, let's talk about, anal sex for gay people.
I think a lot of people just correlate, like, oh, the third grade teacher has a pride flag in their room, therefore they're teaching them about fucking anal sex, straight butt to mouth.
Isn't that a problem?
I don't think that's quite it.
I don't think it's it either, but you're saying a lot of people are correlating it, and that's a problem. Also, you never go ass to mouth.
Well, you would hope not.
Some people might be into that. I don't know.
You'll do whatever you got to do in Iraq to get by.
Oh, Lord have mercy. Listen, buddy, thank you for your service. Thank you for doing what you did, even though I think our government's a bunch of fucking liars. I got nothing but admiration for people who do what you do. So thank you for that. I love that you love your son. I love that you're trying to protect your son. I disagree with the way you're trying to do it because I think it runs the risk of hurting other people's kids, but at least your heart's in the right place. Maybe we'll find a way to meet in the middle sometime. In the meantime, have a great weekend. And it's good talking to you, buddy.
Absolutely, Jeffy. No hard feelings, bud. Have a good one.
Never. Think about it. All right, fellas, I got to run. Bass to trout, that's right. All right. Okay. Fellas, I do got to run. I got to go pick up the dog leash. I took the dog to get a bath yesterday because he pooped all over the house and then he rolled around in it because he's a fucking idiot. But I left the leash at the place, so it is what it is. So, fellas, hit me up in the Discord if you want to be part of tomorrow's play test of Trick Shot. Send me a DM on the Discord or hit me up on Twitter. I'm looking for people on the West Coast, worst case central part of America, so we can play. Spasmo says, Jaffe, I sent a link of the PDF that has the whole gay book in it. Cool. You sent me that on okay, I'll go through it. We'll talk about it the next free swim. Meantime, fellas, we'll be streaming the Xbox show on Sunday. I'll probably be streaming tomorrow. Ricardo, thank you, buddy. Thank you, everybody. And I'll take calls later, but I got to run. All right. See you guys. Thanks, everybody.